The Keeping It Sporty podcast, a podcast where we talk about everything sports. We get excited.
Take them down! Down! Yeah!
We get tense.
I might get kicked off this call for saying what I'm about to say, but we gotta trade vodka if we need this.
We ask the hard-hitting questions. Do you think yoga could solve bigger problems in the world? We also learn some life lessons along the way.
You keep grinding, you'll find your way. This is the way life works.
All with your host, me, Elias Drakos. I've been your host, Elias Drakos. So long, and see you next time. Join me, and let's embark on a new adventure on the Keeping It Sporty podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Keeping It Sporty podcast. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, or by visiting our website at keepingitsporty.com. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the Stanley Cup Finals matchup between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. Today, I am joined by a previous guest of the show. He joined me to talk about golf and sports marketing. If you can remember all the way back then, Mr. Williams. Harrison Williams, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Thanks, Elias, for having me. It's going well. It's going well. Obviously, this is being recorded 50 minutes before Game 3, and I'm a bit nervous, but I'm excited.
Okay, that's great. Yes. So why don't we start off before we talk about the Oilers? I mean, how's everything been? How's teaching been? Have the kids been listening or what? What do you think?
Well, I mean, as a recently graduated student, you know how it is with late second semester grade 12s. I don't have any grade 12s classes now. I have mostly grade 10s. But it's very busy right now. Very busy. Right, exams are starting up next week. Right now, it's just like a lot of culminating presentations and stuff. So I think they're looking forward to, the end. I'm sure like my colleagues and myself are looking forward towards the end as well. But yeah, teaching's been good. Done lots of coaching this year as well. It's funny. I looked up your podcast. I was looking at previous episodes, and I saw you interviewed Marast about his basketball time in England. That's great because him and I were doing, well, it was mainly him. We're doing track and field together. And then I saw you interviewed Jim Georgiadis about his time coaching in the community. Yeah, it's good insight on some things. But yeah, things have been good.
Okay, well that's great to hear. So why don't we dive right into it here with the Oilers talk? So why don't we start with this? How has this playoff run been for you as a fan so far?
It's been great. I mean, obviously it's been nervous at times. But I mean, like, just to go through it chronologically, opening series against LA wasn't too worried. The first game against LA though was wild though, because this final score ended up being 7-5, and it was just like open season on these goalies. And then LA won game 2 in overtime, and that was disappointing, but then we just ended up winning the next 3. So maybe next year we'll meet LA again, but we'll sweep them. Or no. Yeah, because we beat LA in 7, and then 6, and then 5. So if we meet LA next year, surely the math checks out. It'll be a sweep. And honestly, the series against Vancouver, I was probably the most nervous in as a fan, more so than the Dallas series, just because Vancouver, I mean, game 1 they blew that 4-1 lead, which sucked. But Vancouver's goalie, like, who is this guy? Came out of nowhere. Arthur Seeloffs. Phenomenal goaltender. Yeah, that was a nervous one to watch. And then obviously, like, as a fan in game 7, it's just like heart rates through the roof, right? But no, that was great. Yeah, that was definitely the most nervous. Like, kids would, like, after any big win or after a series win, I would wear my jersey to work. But yeah, like the kids know I'm a huge Oilers fan, and like when we were down 3-2 to Vancouver, they're like, "Are you nervous?" And I'm like, yeah, yeah, a little bit." Um, but yeah. So probably most nervous during the Vancouver series, and then Dallas was so close, like such an even series. Let me jog my memory. It was the game one double overtime win, and then yeah, like games. It was just like back and forth.
Mhm.
Right? Yeah, like we won game one, lost game two, won game three, lost game four, I think, and then won game five and six. Yeah, so back and forth. Um, but now being down 2-0, yes, I'm the most nervous right now. Just because the team hasn't been in this situation yet in this playoffs. But if you like, I'm a huge fan, obviously, and like so much so that like on the Edmonton Oilers YouTube channel, right, they post all their like pre-game interviews and post-game interviews. Like, yeah, you better watch your bad. So like I feel like the players realize that you know, back against the wall, being back at Edmonton, I really think home ice advantage is a thing for this group. So yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight, but also a bit anxious.
I felt very similar when Montreal was down 2-0 as well. Obviously, not going the way I wanted back in
Hmm
2021.
hmm
But this run that the Oilers are on almost feels like that in a sort of way. I mean, maybe in a little bit of a different order, though, with Edmonton winning again. Well, they were down 3-2 against Vancouver, and I mean, Montreal beating the Leafs when they were down 3-1, and
hmm
then they kind
hmm
of they won. They swept the Jets, and I mean, first round they won in 5 against LA, and then the Montreal won in 6 against Vegas, and now Dallas or Edmonton won in 6 against Dallas,
hmm
and now Edmonton's down 2-0, heading back home tonight in about 45 minutes, hoping and really praying that they win because this is pretty much a must win for them. I mean, going down 3-0 is going to be
Yeah,
very,
I mean,
very
like
tough.
it's funny how often the term must win is used, like yeah, it's really important that they win, but ultimately it's not over until a team wins 4 games.
Yeah.
Even if they're down 3-0. And yeah, historically it's like 5% chance of coming back from down 3-0. But it's not over until another team wins 4 games. So until that happens, like there's a chance. Um, but yeah, also just to go back to the Montreal Canadiens for a second, it's crazy that like because of how crazy that year was and the different divisions. So the Edmonton Oilers and the Montreal Canadiens have something in common. They're both Western Conference champions in
Yes.
recent history.
Yeah, I don't think we
That's gonna
can.
be a good like trivia question like 30 years from now. Who won the
Yeah.
Western Conference in 2021? Like no one would guess Montreal, but you had to be there, I guess.
Yeah. That's probably the first and last time that's going to happen unless
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
another
yeah.
pandemic, but
Oh no, no
hope
thanks.
yeah, no. Hopefully not. Now, what do you think has led to the Oilers' playoff success?
Let's look at the last, including this postseason, the last 3 years. So rewind the clock 2 years ago, make it to the Western Conference Final, get swept by the Colorado Avalanche, who ended up winning the Stanley Cup. That team, I exceeded expectations. Like as a fan, and other friends of mine that are fans, were not disappointed at all. Right after the year before being swept by the Jets in the Canadian division, and the year prior being beaten by the Blackhawks in the play-in round in the summer, and then no playoffs the previous 2 years before that. Um, I think 2022 exceeded expectations. So then jump to 2023 last year, again making it to the second round and losing to six in Vegas, who again became Stanley Cup champions. So it's like they're they're close. They're close. But last year, I think the big thing was, unfortunately, the goaltending situation with Campbell. It's really unfortunate how that all worked out. So then you got this rookie guy Skinner last year. You're riding him till the very end, and as a rookie goaltender, like there's no way that was going to last. And then you lose to Vegas. And then this year, the goaltending's been minus. I mean, those 2 games in against Vancouver where our backup Pickard played 2 games, like, minus that, Skater's been pretty good. Um, it's so crazy. It's so like, you read the comments from other fan bases, and it's always the same thing about people dissing the Oilers. It's always 2-man team, there's no depth, whatever. But so far, this playoffs, we've seen like the big players need to be big players, and we've seen that from obviously McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, and Evan Bouchard as well is like the second coming of Paul Coffey, honestly. And yeah, there's been big moments where there's some depth scoring from Dylan Holloway, from Matthias Janmark, our other defenseman, Ekholm, who's Bouchard's defensive partner. I think he's got 4 goals so far. So like the depth is there. Obviously, there's some Perry and Evander Kane. Those are big names that you want to see more out of. But I think Perry's like 36 or 38, and Kane's been not practicing because he's nursing a sports hernia. So it's like I don't know. I haven't seen the lineup for tonight, but I kind of hope he's not playing, because I think there's other guys who aren't banged up, who deserve a chance. Because I don't know. I don't think playing Kane as a 4th liner, 3rd liner, and he's not being physical because he can't be because he's injured isn't the move. Yeah. So main point being, this playoffs we're seeing better goaltending, bit better depth, but yeah, you look at the other side, and the Panthers are just such a complete team. You've got the $10 million goalie who's playing like a $10 million goalie. You've got the grit in players like obviously Kachuk and Sam Bennett. And yeah, and you've got the scoring from guys like Barkov and I mean, I'm just rattling my brain for like big guys on the Panthers. I'm not really too familiar with everyone on their roster. Oh, Tarasenko was a big name too, right? So like they got everything firing off cylinders, whereas the Oilers could be trying to get more out of other people.
Yeah, I think when you look at the Oilers this year, it seems they have a little bit more depth than in other years. Because you're right. I mean, it's not just the main 2, or and McDavid and Draisaitl that are doing all the work. It's been a little bit more spread out,
Yeah.
more or less, right?
Yeah. I think Zach Hyman has probably been the best unrestricted free agent signing in recent league history.
He's been very good this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Toronto fans are weeping.
Well, it's interesting because they're also weeping and saying that, oh, we don't want the Oilers to win because there's this whole theory that they want Connor McDavid to come to the Leafs. And I'm like,
Every whatever,
know.
every Leafs fan that's like, again, like this is a common comment you see in like threads online or on Instagram. It's like, oh, he's coming home. He's coming. This is the year. He's not going to re-sign. It's like, look, I think there's still 2 years on his contract. I mean, whatever. Behind closed doors, who knows? But publicly, right, him and Leon have been very clear that like they want to see it through in Edmonton. They want to win in Edmonton. And yeah, maybe if it doesn't work, maybe if the team is too up against the cap to re-sign McDavid and Draisaitl to big long-term deals. I'm sure you saw the cap went up to 88 million.
Yeah.
So like that'll help, but the Oilers are even still pretty up against the cap with I mean, Campbell's contract is brutal. Darnell Nurse's contract is pretty brutal too, 9.25 for a D man that hasn't really been performing to that level recently. So yeah, it's I don't know. The future at at the end of McDavid and Draisaitl is uncertain. But at the same time, it's like, would you expect Crosby to like play his final season in Montreal or like go to Montreal? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I feel like these guys are gonna stick it out.
I mean, maybe one day McDavid will go to the Leafs, but I don't see that happening anytime soon because I just feel like, especially with the Oilers run now, he's gonna leave a team that just made it to the finals that was like that close
So yeah,
away.
so close, right?
Yeah.
And
And
like
it's a ridiculous reason for them not to
mhm.
cheer for the Oilers. I mean, come on, Canada's team here, like I don't
Right. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, like it literally is Canada's team because the roster's got 22 Canadians on it. I think the Panthers have like 4 or 5. Like, come on, people. Be like the Boston Pizza ads, you know?
Yes, yes. Why can't we all come together and cheer
Right,
for a
right?
Canadian team? I agree. I totally
Yeah.
agree with you. Now, the Oilers lines for this morning, kind of touching back on your point. I mean, who knows how much
Hmm.
they're going to change. They had Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, and Hyman, pretty standard on the first line.
Yeah.
McLeod, Draisaitl, and Holloway on the second line. Janmark, Enrique, and Brown on the third line. Fogel, Ryan, and Perry on the fourth line. Then they had Ekholm, Bouchard, Nurse, Desharnais, and Kulak, and Broberg, and then Skinner in net, obviously.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
So I'm wondering if Derek Ryan hasn't played in a while, and if like he's a fourth line guy, he's an older guy, but I really hope he's not a placeholder for Kane or whatever, because yeah, I am kind of hoping Kane sits this one out. Like we need people who can actually be effective at this point. My cat's like pawing and screaming at the door.
your cat's ready for an Oilers win tonight.
Yeah, she's excited. She usually it's really cute when I'm watching. She usually sits on the arm of the couch,
Mhm.
and even if like there's a goal and I'm shouting, she usually still hangs out. So it's nice.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
doesn't get scared and runs away. That's good.
No, no, no. She's a fan too.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. Shout out. What's your cat's name? We have to give her a shout out now
Oh,
on the
Luna.
podcast.
Well, I should let her in because she's right at the door. Hey, come in here. And of course, cats don't even know. They don't know if they want to come in. They don't know if they want to stay out. Okay, too slow. You didn't make up your mind. Goodbye.
That's okay.
That's yeah.
So it's interesting because in game one, the Oilers outshot the Panthers. I mean, 32-18. So it's like you kind of expect them to do a little bit better than how they performed.
That game was obviously the loss is disappointing, but as a fan, I can be disappointed with their play because it's funny. Like McDavid said in a post-game interview, it was like the opposite of what happened against Dallas in Game 6,
Exactly.
where you had all these chances and all these shots, but nothing was connecting. I think in that game, right, there was like 3 or 4 breakaways on Bobrovsky, but he goes down and all those chances, like the guys just couldn't elevate the puck. And then I think there was also at least 2 or 3 posts, like they were there, but got goalied and
Yeah.
just a bit unlucky.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and then game 2 was disappointing. That wasn't great. But Skinner hasn't been playing bad. He's been
Yeah.
playing fine. It's just some of the defensive well, in game 2, yeah, some of the defensive play in front of him was questionable, but also the offense in game 2 just wasn't there. I think they gotta simplify the power play. Enough of this crazy passing, like just go with your gut.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean they scored on the first shot of the game, or for them at least for the Oilers in
Yeah,
game
well, yeah, because
two.
Bobrovsky was cold. It was like,
Yeah,
I don't
he
know, probably
just
like 5 or 6 minutes in, or maybe even later,
yeah, I
when
think
when he
it
got his first shot.
was it I was around the nine, I think it was nine
Yeah,
minutes in,
yeah,
so something like that. Yeah.
yeah. And it was just it was Ekholm too. It was just I don't even think it was like a weak wrist shot from like outside the faceoff dot, and it went 5 hole.
Yeah.
First 5 hole goal he's let in all playoffs.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I think maybe probably just a fluke. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, game one and two in mind, what do you think has to change for tonight, if anything, for the Oilers to maybe have a little bit more success on the score sheet, which is obviously where it matters the most,
Right.
ultimately.
Well, as we all know, that famous quote. I'm not a fan of The Office, but I think you know where I'm going with this. You miss all the shots you don't take,
Mhm.
right? Or you whatever. You know what I mean. And then
Yeah.
I think there's an Office joke in there. If you're familiar with The Office, I'm not.
I never watched The Office. I'm
Okay, neither did I. Can't I
Mhm.
think I think I've seen like 3 or 4 episodes, can't stand it. But I see in the memes that there's an Office meme where that quote is attributed to Michael Scott instead of Wayne Gretzky or something like that. But anyway, yeah, like you can't win a game if if you're getting your first shot on goal 10 minutes in the first period, right? Like this not going to work. Um so yeah, I think it's really just the offense. And then I mean, penalty kill has been fine. I mean, they were on that huge streak. I think it was like 33 or 34 penalty kills in a row. That got broken the other night. So it was going to happen eventually, whatever. Yeah, I think it's just capitalizing on the power plays when you get them because Florida's physical. There's going to be penalties.
Yeah.
Um, and like I don't know if we can go talk about game two. Game two was just bodies everywhere.
Yeah.
Crazy game. But yeah, just simplify the power play. Just get shots. Like you got to figure this guy out eventually.
Well, that's the thing,
Luna.
right? Florida, yeah. See, Luna's getting upset with.
Yeah, Luna is like, when is the game starting?
Yeah, Luna's getting a little anxious here. She's like, okay, enough with this pregame
Yeah,
Zoom
yeah.
meeting here. We want to get this game going. Um, yeah, as I was gonna say, I mean, Florida's just a very physical team. If they play that way, it's really to their advantage. I feel like. I mean, yeah, the Oilers have some of those kind of gritty players as well, but Florida's just they've just that's kind of their, I guess, motto.
Yeah, just grind you down. And the
Exactly.
problem is that like our guys who would be those guys, Evander Kane, he's injured,
Yeah.
and defenseman Vincent Desharnais, huge dude, but was mostly healthy scratched for the end of the Dallas series, or most of the Dallas series. So like he's big and physical, but I guess the coaches think defensive play has been shoddy. So yeah, and I don't know, other than like Draisaitl's okay, being physical, although sometimes I think he's more frustrated than anything. And I don't know if you saw his hit on Barkov in game two.
Mhm.
It was near the end of the game, kind of got the elbow up in his face. Yeah. So yeah, the Oilers are certainly lacking compared to Florida in terms of gritty physical players. So that's an area for improvement for sure. And like Ekholm's a big guy, but like, yeah, you need more like third and fourth line forwards that can, yeah, forecheck aggressively and be physical. Because like our third and fourth line, they aren't big dudes. And like Perry can be that guy, but he's old, so he's not as effective. And Ryan McLeod, he's probably been the most missing person or missing depth player on the Oilers, I think, this whole postseason. I think he has 1 goal and I don't know, maybe a couple assists or whatever, but you got to get more out of him. And Dylan Holloway, not that physical, not that big of a guy. Derek Ryan, kind of similar to Perry, works hard, but he's older guy, can't be that physical. He's not that big either. So yeah, it's an uphill battle. I'll say that much.
Any predictions for tonight?
Uh, well, like I said earlier, I think home ice advantage is really a thing for the Oilers. And you got to think like, this team's been resilient all season, especially obviously everyone will think back to November, tie for dead last in the league, right? The 16-game winning streak, right? Digging themselves out of that hole. So this is that, except, right, obviously it's the Stanley Cup final. So backs against the wall. This is the hole you've dug yourself in, down 2 games on home ice now. Flip the
Mhm.
script. I think they can do it.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
just like, okay, keys to victory. right? You got to capitalize on the power play. Like, you're going to get at least 3 or 4 throughout this game. And I remember everyone was saying game one on Bobrovsky, you got to go high. You got to go high, especially if you're given all man rushes or breakaways. Like, you got to go high because he's a big dude. And yeah, like watch some highlights from game one. It's like I said earlier, like 3 or 4 times, like just got to elevate the puck. And then, they would have had, probably 2 or 3 goals. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited. I don't want to say I'm confident, but I'm optimistic. We'll say
Okay.
that. Mhm.
Optimism, yes, you have to be optimistic for sure. Okay, finally, I don't know if you saw today, the Utah team became official in the
I saw it.
NHL.
I saw it. That's like you're really on the pulse here. That's like 2 hours old news.
Yeah, I saw it on my subway ride home from work today, and I was like,
Oh yeah.
that's pretty interesting that they have that I mean, first of all, that they've taken over for Arizona, which I suppose we all could have expected.
That was years too late or years overdue, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I
I don't
agree.
know. It just wasn't going to work. Now, what I think, what I'm disappointed in, maybe you're disappointed too, is the name and the jersey design. Like, it looks like if you were to ask like ChatGPT to make like a generic hockey jersey, this is what it would spit out.
Yeah.
And like, did they? I don't know if you read this. Like, did they put the team name to a fan vote? Is it like
They
did the
did.
people really choose Utah Hockey Club?
Okay. Voting is still open. In fact, I voted earlier because I
Okay.
had nothing to do. No. Well, I decided to throw my hat in the ring, and I think the options, I have to double check what the options were, but off the top of my head, it was the Utah Yetis, the
Yeah,
Utah
like an animal
Mammoths,
or something
the
relevant.
the
Like Utah
Blizzards.
Hockey
Yeah.
Club is just too vanilla.
Yeah, I think they're gonna change. I mean, unless people want that to stay, I think they're gonna change that because that's just kind of a.
Yeah. Well,
It's
it's like the
more.
the PWHL teams. Like they need names.
Yeah, I
You can't just
totally.
be
Yeah,
PWHL Toronto or Boston or whatever.
yeah. You need to give them names because it doesn't work if you're putting the league
Yeah,
in
well,
front
it's
of
just like
everything.
especially from like a merchandise and marketing
Yeah,
perspective,
well,
it's just easier to
you would know
right. Yes, as the
as a sports
as the
marketing
former
expert. Yes.
the former sports marketing teacher, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, no, definitely. And I mean, I'm not the colors of the jerseys. I'm kind of okay with that sort of light blue, black and white look.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think it does look a little bit like ChatGPT just put something there, and it's like kind of just I think it was a square, right? If I remember correct,
Uh,
or is it a circle? It was just like pretty basic to me.
yeah,
Whatever it
yeah.
was, I can't remember now what it was, but it was.
It's funny, thinking about that sports marketing class, there were some classmates of yours who, for one of the rebranding assignment, they had rebranded the Utah Jazz,
Mhm.
and they rebranded the Utah Jazz as the Utah Peaks,
Hmm.
speaking to the geography of the region. Um, so yeah, like literally anything specific to the region would help with a name, not just Utah HC.
They've got here. Okay, I don't know how well this is going to show, but they've got. Here's sort of what it looks like. Let's see if I can get that in there. There we go. Maybe you can see that. They've got like 4 different logos. It's a little bit odd.
Oh, the circle. Okay. Can you still hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Oh no, I'm out.
Oh no. Okay, I
Am
can
I
hear
out?
you. I can hear
Oh no,
you, but
time
you're
left. Nine
frozen.
minutes.
No, we're okay here. Yeah, yeah, your screen froze
Hold
for
on,
some
something's
reason.
wrong. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? No, I think we lost him. Uh,
Am I back?
yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, I see me, but now I can't hear you.
Can you see me? No?
I'll just take this out.
Okay. Let's.
Okay, we're good. I'll
Oh,
turn
you're
off the
good? Okay.
yeah.
Can you see me? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
So yeah, I
anyways,
saw
yeah.
the logo. Yeah,
Oh yeah, this here. Did you see the logo here? I can
yeah. So circle.
yeah.
Mhm.
Here, give me 1 second. I have to relog it. Okay,
What
that's
did I miss?
no. I was just showing there was I was mentioning earlier there was like four different logos here. Let's see if you can there. Can you see that?
Okay.
And I was
Uh,
saying it's a little bit odd how there's like four different sort of random logos there.
yeah, I mean, if I were to pick from the four, I'd pick the bottom left with I believe that's the state outline of Utah.
Yeah, I like that one too. I was gonna say
I
that's
pick
probably
that
my
one.
favorite one. Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll see what happens with Utah in the future, but for now, go Oilers. I mean,
Yes. Let's go
we'll
Oilers.
yes, we'll have to see what happens tonight. I really hope they win. And I mean, look, you never know, right? If they win tonight, maybe they win game four, you're all knotted up again, going back to Florida.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And like what I've been seeing online a lot is people are comparing and contrasting this with the 2011 final. Boston went down 2 games to none against Vancouver.
Mhm.
No, sorry. No, other way around. Other way around. Vancouver was up 2-0 on
Yeah.
Boston.
Yes.
And obviously Boston came back to win in seven. And then Oilers history, 2006, I believe they had gone down 2-0 against Carolina, went back to Edmonton, tied the series, and then obviously took that to game seven as well. So if history is in the cards, then maybe that'll help. I think for the league too, you want to see the Stanley Cup final go to 6 or 7 games,
Yeah.
right? So like put your tinfoil hat on. Maybe Bettman would phone a couple things in. You know what I mean? uh yeah,
Oh
well
gosh.
we'll see though. I'm optimistic, like I said.
Okay, well, listen, thanks again for taking the time to do this. And I mean, I guess this was like your pregame tailgate, sort of, coming on the Keeping
Kinda.
It Sporty podcast here.
Yeah, yeah. That's nice that you got like the jersey behind you with the name
Oh, you
of the
like?
podcast.
Yeah, you know
Great.
what? I actually, my uncle got this for me for my birthday, which was pretty cool, and I've got my last name on the back of that, which is
Nice,
cool.
nice.
So I'm like, let me hang
Awesome.
it up and make it as a sort of makeshift set for now.
Until you can expand.
Yes, yeah. Well,
Right,
maybe
right.
one day. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, thanks again. Go Oilers. Hopefully they win tonight. I'll be cheering for them. If they win, you might get an email. If they lose, no email.
Go. Yeah, if they lose, I'm just go to bed.
Yes, yes. There's no email
Yeah.
tonight. And yeah, tomorrow's gonna be a rough day for you and for those poor kids at school who are no.
Yeah. It's funny, like when they won game six against Dallas, I was so pumped and excited. I went on the Fanatics website, not a minute after the game ended, all the Western Conference champ stuff merch was on there. So still waiting on a hat
Mm,
from Fanatics. So that should be here soon. But I don't know, it'd feel weird to then wear it if it doesn't get here until like after the finals are over. But whatever.
that's okay. It'll
Exciting.
still be a good memory of
Right. There will be a banner to raise in September, whatever it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's that championship one.
Yeah. Hopefully there's two banners. We'll see.
Exactly. Okay, well, thanks again, Mr. Williams. Take care. For the third time, I can't believe I'm gonna say this for a third time. Go Oilers! Let's see a win
Yes.
tonight.
Let's
I'm
go
pumped, and you know it's bad
Oilers.
when a Habs fan is pumped, even if it's not his team. But
It's Canada's team. Canada's
yes,
team, Elias.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, take care, Mr. Williams.
Alrighty. So long. Thanks for having me.
No worries, my pleasure. You've been listening to the Keeping It Sporty podcast. Don't forget to listen to us on Spotify, Apple, or on our website at keepingitsporty.com. And make sure to follow us on Instagram at keepingitsporty. That's KEEPIN with no G, it sporty. SPORTY. I've been your host, Elias Drakos. So long, and see you next time.